Hey guys, welcome to the MMA Brothers podcast, the newest, baddest, and best podcast out there. And let's get it going. Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Daryl, and this is my brother Asher.
Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to the first episode of our podcast.
Yeah, you're gonna hate him. So what it is our podcast. We're MMA lovers, mostly UFC. We don't really get into Bellator and ONE FC. UFC is our main focus, so we're gonna be getting into the pre-fight hype and tell you guys who our picks are based off styles and matchups and whatever. And after the fights, we're going to do a post-fight podcast as well, and eventually get into live streaming the fights and seeing our reactions once we get a big enough base of viewers.
Yeah, we're also going to cover MMA news. We're going to do that, and most of our UFC fights we're going to cover are going to be the main card, so we're not going to really touch on the prelims unless there's some fire prelims, then we might have to dive into those. But let's start off with the first one. So this weekend, which is November 16th, I believe?
I think it's UFC Fight Night 164 or 163, one of the two.
Yep. So we have Jan Blachowicz versus Jacare Souza in Sao Paulo, Brazil. But we're not going to talk about that fight first. We're going to start from the bottom of the card with Marcus Perez versus Wellington Turman.
Yeah, and seeing as I'm a huge UFC fan, so is my brother, and so are you guys who will be listening to this, we all know that no one really cares about the first couple fights on the card, because I'm going to tell you their names, and you guys let me know if you know who they are. Marcus Perez and Wellington Turman. So have you guys ever heard of these guys before? Yeah.
That's what I thought,
yeah, almost put me to sleep too. So they're fighting in the 185-pound division. Perez is 11-2. Turman is new to the UFC and is 15-2, both from Brazil. We're not going to dive that much into it. Turman looks like he's bringing the power, and he's got more wins underneath his belt, so I'm probably going to go with him.
Yeah, who cares, to be honest? Some guy's going to win the fight. Hopefully it's a KO, a submission, or something cool. Let's move on to the next one. All right, so in the next one, we got Antonio Arroyo versus Andre Muniz. So, again, another two Brazilian guys that nobody knows. So, it's all good. We're not going to dive too deeply into this one. And so one guy was a record with 8-2, and the other guy is 18-4. So it's clear that somebody has the advantage here when it comes to the MMA experience. And so this one, I'm just gonna go with Andre Muniz, because Andre Muniz has more experience. And again, like I said, hopefully it's a fun fight. It's in middleweight, and hopefully they slug it out. Who you got for this one?
Don't really care about these two guys either. It's another 85er. I'm gonna go with the guy with more experience. Mr. Sergipano Andre Muniz.
Aye.
So moving on to Charles Oliveira versus is that Jared Gordon?
Yeah.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, who was that guy?
Yeah, I haven't really heard of that guy before. Thank you, Connor, for that segue. Yeah, they're fighting at 155, dominated by who's the 55 champ? It's Khabib. Yeah, Khabib. Charles Oliveira has fought people like
Pettis.
Pettis. I think he fought Holloway.
Mm-hmm.
So he's coming in with a lot of experience.
He also fought at 145 as well. So Charles Oliveira is a guy that's been in the UFC for a while now. And he's also the more experienced fighter. He has an MMA record of 26-8 losses, 1 no contest. And Jared Gordon has a MMA pro record of 14 wins and 3 losses. He's from the US. And Charles Oliveira is from Brazil.
Yeah, so Oliveira, however you pronounce his name, he finishes most of his fights by submission, whereas Gordon finishes most of his fights by decision or KO or TKO. So we're looking for Jarrett to make a name for himself and starch Oliveira. It might not work in his favor due to the severe reach disadvantage in Charles Oliveira's favor. Oliveira has a 74-inch reach advantage with Gordon coming in with a 68-inch reach. So Gordon has a higher average fight time, so it might not be the most interesting fight, but we're going to move on to Mauricio Hua versus Paul Craig, because I'm going to go with Gordon on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Charles Oliveira because he's got some nasty jiu-jitsu, so I think he might win that fight by submission. But yes, let's move on to the next one. So, Next fight here, we got Mauricio Shogun Hua, or Ruha, however how you pronounce it. He's fighting this guy named Paul Craig. I don't know who this man is, but he seems like he's a pretty good fighter to be fighting Shogun right now. Shogun Hua has an MMA record of 26-11, and Paul Craig has an MMA record of 12-4. And the crazy thing about Shogun is he's 37 years old, but guess what, guys? He's won 4 out of his last 5 fights. That's crazy, bro. I thought Mans was getting clipped because he lost to Ovis St. Preux, Dan Henderson, and, to Anthony Smith lately. That was a brutal KO in the first round. But it looks like the guy's still plugging along. He won his last fight against Tyson Pedro, so I don't know how he's going to do in this one, boys. Daryl, what do you think?
I'm just going to go with Paul Craig. He's the younger fighter. It looks like he's got less experience on his chin than Shogun, John Jones absolutely destroyed him. So Paul Craig is a submission specialist, but the fight starts standing up. So what I expect is Paul Craig to advance because he's not the more experienced fighter. He's going to be showing less fear in the ring, just going forward and not really caring what happens to him because he's good on the ground, right? So even if he gets hit, gets dropped, he can still rely on his jiu-jitsu or wrestling to get himself out of a sticky situation. He's also the bigger fighter, with him having 2 inches of height on Mauricio Hua, meaning the reach advantage is the same, but still the height advantage plays some sort of significant factor. But it looks like it's going to be a good fight. I don't expect this fight to go all 3 rounds.
Yeah, so Paul Craig is 2 inches taller, and he has the same reach. And again, remember this fight's at light heavyweight 205, so I'm going to go with Paul Craig, bro. The thing is, he has 0 decisions, and 92% of his fights are won by submission. So you gotta go with that guy, because clearly, once he grabs a hold of you, you're a goner.
You're a goner from Connor.
All right, so moving on to the final fight of the night. I'll let Daryl introduce it for you.
Yeah, so we're gonna go with Jan Blachowicz versus Ronaldo Souza, also known as Jacare.
Yeah.
So they're fighting in the 205-pound division. Blachowicz or Blachowicz, whatever, let's call him Jan, has a 78-inch reach, with Souza coming in at a 72-inch reach. Now, Jan is coming off a very hyped fight with Luke Rockhold, where he knocked him out. Is it the first round, right?
Yeah. Oh, no, second round.
Second round. Yeah. Second round KO of Luke. Luke was being a little bit too cocky with the fight, so... Yeah, but Jan really put him on his ass there. So, in this fight, I'm going to go with Jan just based off the fact that he's 1 inch taller, has a 6-inch reach advantage. Souza is also coming up in a weight division, so he's going to be carrying a little bit more muscle. So is he going to be getting gassed much easier? Or he could hit harder, but I think that Jan is really going to go through. And then he's going to power walk on him just like McGregor did. Right?
Yeah. So... Yeah, I don't know about that one. I think Jacare has a good chance, buddy. So, yeah, even though, like what Daryl said, Jacare is moving up in weight to 205. I think he's going to pack a lot of power. Now he's moving up in weight. And his jiu-jitsu is nasty. Just remember that. So 54% of Jacare's fights are won by submission and 15% by decision. 31% by KO. So Jan's kind of like in the middle of the pack with everything. Is 30% around everywhere. So he can win the fight in many different ways. But yeah, with this one I'm going to go with Jacare. How about you, Daryl?
Yeah, as I said before, I'm going to go with Jan. Mm-hmm. I just think his last fight is just going to be, the driving factor for him. Pushing forward. And if I'm wrong, you guys can tell me I'm wrong, and I'm pompous and I think I'm always right, but this one I'd be willing to bet top dollar that Jan comes out with the win. Mm-hmm. So it'd be interesting to get you guys' opinions, what you guys think is going to happen. So we're going to set up a Instagram page, YouTube, so feel free to comment on both of those platforms. We would love to hear you guys' comments on the fights, what you guys liked, what you guys don't like, and
yeah, thank you for listening. This is our first episode. There's many more to come, and a lot of fun things coming along the way. So we appreciate you listening and being a follower of this podcast.
Yeah, whatever, guys, have a good one.
All right,
take it easy.